is Saturday, March 5th, just past midnight, which means it is Batman Day. Thursday, my brother and I watched Batman Begins and Dark Knight. Friday night, we watched Dark Knight Rises. And now, it's time for the Batman. We have been anticipating this movie for over a year? I can't even remember when they announced it. Yeah, it's definitely longer than a year. So excited. Batman is my favorite superhero. Pretty sure he's my brother's favorite as well. There's just no one like Batman. Sorry. Nobody. We're going to the theater with our parents. We've tried to avoid spoilers, but we have looked at some reviews, hearing a lot of great things, which is fantastic. I'll be honest, I was skeptical when I heard about the Robert Pattinson casting. However, I tend to be skeptical with every new Batman casting. Christian Bale, even? Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, now Robert Pattinson, and every single time I have been proven wrong. Literally, the first trailer that came out, I ate my words. I took them back so fast. I was so impressed. So excited. I'm actually not feeling tired, and I really need to go to bed because this is a 3-hour movie. I've been staying up really late working every single night this week. I don't want to be tired in the theater. I don't want to miss anything. So I need to go to sleep, but I'm not feeling tired at all. And I have a bad feeling I'm not gonna sleep. I might read a little more. Hopefully, reading will ease me into restful sleep. It just started raining, which means I'm gonna sleep like a baby. I'm taking this as a sign that it's going to be a great Saturday and the Batman is going to be a great movie. Good morning. It's 9 a.m. We're leaving in 45 minutes. Gotta wake up. Batman Day. So excited. Let's go.
Jonas. Yeah, it's keeping up with the Joneses now.
Try to keep up. Whoever you are. Stay ahead in the all-new Tundra.
Nice seats. Good job.
Sorry I didn't check in earlier. My family went out to lunch after the movie ended at 1:30. We got some Dairy Queen, and then I came home, watched The Office with my brother, and then we took like a 2-hour nap. We were so tired. And then we watched Our Flag Means Death on HBO Max, which is really good. And then random YouTube videos. And now it's 12:38. Let's talk about the Batman. It was really good. It was really good. This movie was directed by Matt Reeves, written by Matt Reeves and Peter Craig, produced by Dylan Clark and Matt Reeves. So phenomenal on all levels. The story is dark, but I don't know why people are surprised. Every time a Batman movie comes out, but it's so dark. Have you never read anything about Gotham and Batman? The whole reason Gotham needs someone like Batman, who is not only a vigilante, but an intimidating, like really intimidating vigilante, is because Gotham is overrun by crime. Batman is a symbol of hope and he does make a difference, but even Batman can't always save Gotham. Like, Gotham is just always overrun by crime. Always. It is a cesspool. It's literally like a hotbed for criminals. So I don't know why people are so confused every time a Batman movie is dark. Guys, Gotham is not a nice place. I just don't understand. The tone was so appropriate. What made this story unique is that it really focused on the detective side of Batman, which is something we haven't really seen, I would say, since the animated series. I just thought it was so cool, like the gadgets he used, like his contact lenses that record things, and then he'd go back over the footage. There is a lot of action, but there are also a lot of scenes dedicated to Bruce Wayne riding in the streets of Gotham, following people, getting information, going back to crime scenes and investigating again. It was really cool to see a movie that reminded us that Batman's known for being a good detective. That's part of who the character is. I thought that was so cool and made this movie stand out. It also worked because of what they did with the Riddler, making him this horrible, horrible serial killer. It definitely had noir crime vibes to it. It worked so well. If you like the movie Seven, I know this comparison has probably been done to death, but this feels like DC Comics and Seven had a baby, and it was the Batman. Cinematography by Greg Fraser. Oh my gosh. This movie was stunning. The whole like noir aesthetic of it, and some of the shots in this, one of my favorites is towards the end, that aerial shot of Batman with a flare leading those people out of the flooded Gotham Square Garden. That, oh my gosh. That shot, wow. I had chills. What an aesthetically pleasing movie. It was so good. I loved the tone of it and just like, oh my god, like the color palette and the framing of everything. So good. Music by Michael Giacchino. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Giacchino? Sorry if I'm butchering that. The music, the score, brilliant. I wish I had been smart enough to say this myself, but during one specific part, I can't remember which part, my brother mentioned that it sounded like the Batman animated series theme song. I looked it up. Apparently, he's not the only one who felt like the music sounded a lot like something that would have been on the animated series. And I love that because the tone of this movie and the story and the way they did Batman really is reminiscent of the animated series. Music can make or break a film. I'm a DC girl for life. Aquaman's soundtrack is trash. I really liked that movie. It gave us the Aquaman we deserve, and it did things with CGI that had never been done before. So cool. But the soundtrack, listen, that soundtrack almost ruined the movie for me. Music can make or break a film. When I go on and on about the music being so good, it's because I don't know what else to say. When music is that good, all I can tell you is that it doesn't take you out of the movie. It sucks you in even more. So well done. From beginning to end, so well done. Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne. As I said last night, I was skeptical when I heard he was cast. I wasn't sure. And this is not because I didn't believe in his acting ability. It had nothing to do with that. I could not picture him as Bruce Wayne or Batman. I ate my words when literally the first trailer came out. I was too stunned to speak. He exceeded my expectations. He was his own Bruce Wayne and his own Batman, but also still the Batman, the character that we all know and love. To me, that's one of the things that makes a performance successful. When you can make a character like this your own, but still keep the integrity of a character that is so well known and so loved. I thought it was an excellent performance. He truly was emo detective Batman, and I loved every second of it. And I was not expecting to 2 or 3 years ago when we first found out about this casting. It's crazy to think I ever doubted. Zoe Kravitz as Selina Kyle / Catwoman. I was never worried about her. When she was cast, I was like, I can see that. That's not good casting. That's great casting. Never for a minute doubted her. She did amazing. And her and Pattinson's chemistry, they didn't even do anything, but their gazes at each other was like, oh my gosh, we should not be watching. The whole tension between Batman and Catwoman, you need that. It doesn't mean there's gonna be some kind of romantic relationship, although that has happened. You have to have the tension between them. The chemistry, the flirtation. Oh my goodness. It was there. Paul Dano as Edward Nashton / Riddler. I know that there's a group of people who don't like the direction they went in with Riddler. It is not the Riddler we know from the 90s or from any of the animated shows, but I respect the risk because, oh my goodness, Paul Dano did so well. There were chilling moments when I felt like I was watching true crime documentary footage of a serial killer. Obviously, when the mask came off. With the mask on, it's a completely different experience. The mask, so creepy. When we finally see his face, he just gave me 70s serial killer vibes, like a Ted Bundy or someone like that in a documentary. It was so creepy. It makes your skin crawl. With the mask on, oh my gosh. I feel like not many people will get this reference. There was this CSI episode with a serial killer named Squeagle. They never continued it. They never finished the storyline, but it haunts me to this day. It was someone that wasn't super tall, some kind of contortionist dressed head to toe in latex with a face covering. This person would squeeze into small spaces and wait. And the reason he got that name is because he hid in the trunk of a car, and when the car was going through a car wash, he killed the driver, a mother, in front of her daughter. When they interviewed the daughter, she kept talking about the noise that the windshield wipers made, which sounds like squeakle, squeakle. I hate it. I hate it so much. That episode traumatized me, and that's what Riddler reminded me of. It just brought up all that trauma and all those feelings. But honestly, so effective. That ending with all his minions from his online following dressing up in his mask and showing up with guns and ammo to shoot up Gotham Square Garden while all those people are trapped from the flooding. Oh, that was creepy. Also, I'll be honest, very real, right? Like, very real. The whole thing about him having this following online and being able to influence them to do something so violent, like, I think it's so creepy that that mirrors things that have actually happened. Oh, this is interesting. Sorry, I'm reading Wikipedia. Reeves has actually compared his version of Riddler to the Zodiac Killer. That's good. I didn't even think of that. Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon. This is another casting choice that I was never really worried about, but I didn't really know what to expect. Guys, I'm not being dramatic. Jeffrey Wright's performance as Gordon was one of my favorite parts of the movie. Maybe top 2 or 3. I don't even know what else to say. This was such a fantastic performance. And I thought him and Pattinson had great on-screen chemistry. They focused so much on Batman's detective side, which means we saw a lot of him and Gordon just out in the streets surveilling and looking at evidence. I loved that. We've never had that in a live-action movie before. John Turturro, hopefully I'm saying that right, as Carmine Falcone. Such a great performance. I was telling my brother, like, this is another thing that gave me animated series vibes, because none of the live-action movies up until now have ever... I mean, was Falcone even in the Dark Knight trilogy? I don't think... They might mention him, but I'm trying to think. Okay, he was in Batman Begins. I forgot that. But he's not a huge character. He was actually not a main... Well, no, not a main character, but he was a major side character. I mean, he's woven throughout the entire movie, and I thought that was so cool because Falcone is part of Gotham lore. Spoiler alert, he does die, but another thing that was cool is that Catwoman scratches his face and he dies with that cut on his face. Most versions of him, he has that scar and it is from Catwoman. The difference, and I don't know if there's any comic books with this, but the difference is that Catwoman, Selina Kyle, ends up being his daughter. Her mother died and he let her get taken away, never stepped up as the father she needed, and there's a lot of feelings about that. I didn't mention that earlier with her, but that was an interesting thing that she's his daughter. I don't think I've ever seen that storyline played out, but I didn't mind it. Andy Serkis as Alfred Pennyworth, really liked his interpretation. It's very serious. Normally, Alfred is serious, but he has this sort of sarcastic humor, which we did see a little bit, but honestly, we didn't see it as much as other versions, like Michael Caine and... what's his name? In Zack Snyder. Oh my goodness, legend. Jeremy Irons. Michael Caine and Jeremy Irons gave us a lot of the sarcastic humor, and I love that. I feel like Andy Serkis as Alfred was great, and I think we just need to see more of him, honestly. That explosion, I was about to throw hands if Alfred died. I was so upset until I realized they hadn't killed him off. I was so scared. But he's fine. everything's fine. Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot, aka Penguin, who operates a nightclub called the Iceberg Lounge. Oh my goodness, it's so crazy to see Penguin and the Iceberg Lounge. Penguin is one of those villains, like, when's the last time we saw a live action version? Was there a 90s version? I think there was. Please forgive me, but I actually haven't seen all the 90s and before movies. I did grow up watching the show from like the 50s, the Adam West show. That's my first version of Penguin. And then the animated series, that's how I know Penguin. I didn't watch De Niro's Penguin. Gosh, that means it's literally been like 20 plus years since Penguin's been on the screen as a live action character. That's crazy. Penguin's one of those characters that has to be done well because he could either be too boring or he could be too campy. I never doubted for a second that Colin Farrell would do the work. First of all, the dedication. He went through 3 hours of makeup every time he was on set. He's not a main character in this movie. He's in it more than I was actually expecting. Not in it a ton, but boy, what he did with his screen time, incredible. Is it weird to say that Jeffrey Wright as Gordon and Colin Farrell as Penguin, 2 of my favorite parts of the movie? I don't even care if I'm in the minority. Saying those are 2 of my favorite parts because I was so impressed. His accent that he gave Penguin, his mannerisms. He's like a nightclub owner, he's a mobster, and there's still like that trademark Colin Farrell humor to it. But you can see Penguin has a dark side. For instance, when Falcone gets arrested, he's been Falcone's crony the entire movie, right? Falcone gets arrested, all of a sudden Penguin is right outside of the nightclub on the top step looking down on his boss, and he's talking a lot of smack. He sees an opportunity and it's like, Falcone's gonna get taken down. I'm gonna make sure he stays in prison. I'm the boss now. Don't for 1 minute let any of that Colin Farrell humor trick you. Penguin has a dark side. When he sees an opportunity, he snatches it. So well done. I can't say enough about the performance. So freaking well done. Oh my gosh, when they leave him tied up and he's yelling after them as they're driving away, losing my mind. Oh my gosh, so funny. Okay, is there anything else? Oh, I have to mention Alex Ferns as Commissioner Pete Savage and Con O'Neill as Police Chief Mackenzie Bock. Their raspy East Coast accents took me out. My brother and I, no one else was laughing. We were in the back of the theater covering our mouths. We were laughing so hard. No, guys, we're not making fun. Fantastic. We love that. This is random, but I have to mention that Mayor Don Mitchell Jr., who's in the beginning and quickly killed, he's the Riddler's first victim. As a Jane Austen fan, I was flipping out. I had no idea that Rupert Penry-Jones was going to be in this movie. That is Captain freaking Wentworth from Persuasion. I know. He was a corrupt politician. I don't care. In my heart, he will forever and always be Captain Wentworth. And that's all I'll say about it. Luke Roberts and Stella Stalker played Thomas and Martha Wayne. They dive a lot deeper into the Waynes. Thomas Wayne being a doctor and getting into politics right before he died. Martha Wayne struggling with mental health issues. I recently watched The Long Halloween. Because of that, I already knew about Thomas Wayne's connection to Falcone. In this movie, it takes that a step farther. Basically, when Thomas Wayne is getting into politics, there's this reporter who's leaking personal information about their family, things about Martha Wayne's mental health, being in and out of asylums. Thomas Wayne is running for office and he wants these things out of the press. He tells Falcone to scare this guy. Falcone takes that as, oh, okay, I'll kill him, which is not what Thomas wanted, and he kills him. Thomas Wayne is horrified and tells him he's going to the police. Falcone lies straight to Bruce Wayne's face. He makes it seem like Maroni, who used to be in the position that Falcone's in now, he makes it seem like Maroni killed the Waynes. Alfred tells him that when Thomas threatened to go to the police, that's when they ended up dead. He can't say for sure that it was Falcone, but it sure does look like it was Falcone. Bruce Wayne has very complicated feelings when all of this stuff comes to his attention. He gets mad at Alfred, tells him, "You lied to me, you made my parents seem like good people," and Alfred stops him and he's like, "Your father was a good man. He just got caught up in things and made really poor decisions, but he was a good man." I don't think the direction they went was bad. I also don't think it taints the image of the Waynes. It really just proves that people who seem inherently good, people who are inherently good, still make poor decisions. And they pay for it. And I'm not talking about his death, I just mean consequences in general. You don't have to be someone like Falcone to make a poor decision. I thought that added depth. I liked that aspect of the story. I think this is the most fleshed out that the parents have been in a movie that I've ever seen. Now we come to the end in Arkham. Oh my goodness. So my brother and I did not know who was going to make a brief appearance. We were shocked, but apparently the world was not. Everyone saw it coming, everyone guessed it was coming. A certain clown, we see him a teeny tiny bit in his cell. We hear him speak and we hear him laugh. He's talking to Riddler about making a comeback. In the moment, I wasn't sure how I felt, because I feel like every Batman adaptation can't help it. They have to find a way to have a reference to Joker, right? And I wasn't sure how I felt about it in the moment, because I was like, this is a Riddler movie with a bit of Falcone, a bit of Penguin. Did we need Joker? Even if it was only like 30 seconds. I wasn't sure how I felt about it. However, I read an IGN article where Reeves explains why that scene was not taken out of the movie. And honestly, I 100% support his decision and his reasoning, because it truly makes sense from a story point of view. Batman goes through this journey from I am vengeance, I am fear, to this city is so overrun by crime and I have been so focused on being vengeance that I forgot these citizens of Gotham need me to be a symbol of hope. That beautiful shot where he's leading those people out of the water, oh, that was like the transition, you know, where he reaches out his hand and people start to trust him and realize, oh, he's here to help us, he's here to save us. The hope really blossoms at the end and transforms Bruce Wayne and his mission as Batman. It's such a beautiful thing. He's having this conversation with Selina Kyle, who's leaving town, about that very thing. And, you know, she's basically understanding they're always going to be two different people. He's always going to be committed to Gotham, his first love. So beautiful. So touching. And then you see Riddler making this connection with Joker in Arkham. And the reason Matt Reeves left it in there is because of the juxtaposition. Finally, there's this hope blooming in Gotham. Batman is becoming a symbol of hope. And he's feeling positive about the future, right? Things are looking up. But in Gotham, there is always planning and scheming going on. Something else is always about to happen. There is always evil lurking around every corner. And that is why it was so important to see that juxtaposition of hope and these two major Batman villains scheming in Arkham. They will be back. I applaud Matt Reeves for explaining that so well, because that makes total sense to me. I read that article and I shut up. I was like, oh, okay, nothing else to say on the matter. He also said there was another Joker scene that would have been earlier in the movie. It was cut, but he said it will be released at some point. Very, very excited to see that. Very curious to see what it looks like, what Joker looks like. My family left the theater before the credits ended because we were starving. We didn't miss an end credits scene because there was none. However, there was a goodbye message from Riddler and a URL which leads you to a real Rata Alada website. In the recent past, this website gave you riddles to solve which earned you some rewards. According to thedirect.com, the first reward was footage of Thomas Wayne's campaign for mayor. Riddler's voiceover is replaced by music, but his breathing can still be heard. One clip of Thomas is covered by the word hush, which is a reference to the Batman villain Hush. The video ends with Riddler's logo.
Instilled in both of us, the giving back is not just an obligation, it's a passion. That is our family's legacy.
The second reward is a short message spelled out in symbols from the movie, which can be solved using the same cipher. I'll spoil it in 3, 2, 1. Maze of Riddles. That was the end of the interactive experience. Nothing more popping up except a message to keep your eyes peeled for Riddler's return. Now, the website is different. First, you see IP addresses which people have traced to certain Batman comic books. I'm not smart enough to figure all this stuff out, so I'll show you work from more impressive people online. Here are the comic books and their significance. Detective Comics 27, released in May 1939. This was Batman's first appearance. Batman 1, released in March 1940. This was both Catwoman and Joker's first appearance. Detective Comics 58, released in December 1941. This was Penguin's first appearance. Detective Comics 140, released in October 1948. This was Riddler's first appearance. Batman 405, released in March 1987. This was Carmine Falcone's first appearance. Batman 16, released in April 1943. This was Alfred Pennyworth's first appearance. Batman 258, released in October 1975. This was Arkham Asylum's first appearance. Last but not least, March 4th, 2022, the release date of The Batman. Just so you know, none of the IP addresses actually work, at least for now. This person from Reddit also tried the email, but so far we don't know if that works.
The next screen on the website says click for reward, which gives you a longer message from Riddler. Once again, I looked at the solved message. I'll spoil it in 3, 2, 1. You think I'm finished, but perhaps you don't know the full truth. Every ending is a new beginning. Something is coming. The only other thing on that page is the word loading and a percentage, which is currently at 36%, but the number keeps increasing. It's definitely a countdown, which people are speculating will lead to a sequel announcement. Another smart Reddit member took the time to examine the numbers and give a tentative timeline, which schedules the countdown to end at approximately 12 p.m. Central Time on Friday, March 11th. I don't want to wait that long to upload this video, but I wanted to give you all the information so you'll be ready if something huge happens this Friday. My fingers are crossed for a sequel announcement. I'm so impressed. I hesitate to give it 10 out of 10. I'm always like this with every movie, okay? It's not just this one. I always hesitate, even with books, I hesitate to give out 5 stars. I don't know why, because when I think about it, I'm like, okay, well, I hesitate to give it 10 stars. Name one thing you didn't like, Lauren. Name one thing. Can't think of it. Like, literally can't think of it. I mean, Batman's little flying suit was funny. That was pretty funny. It wasn't meant to be funny, but it was. But that's dumb. Like, so dumb. It's crickets in my mind. I can't name one thing I honestly didn't like. I guess it is a 10 out of 10. I don't know what to tell you. And don't even ask me to rank my favorite Batman movies, name my top 3. I have to watch it again. I never, ever, ever like to rank things unless I've seen those movies more than once. But I will say it's definitely high on the list. How could it not be? I'm also terrible at naming favorites because I just want to like everything. I'm a Batman fan. I love pretty much everything Batman. I loved Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, Dark Knight Rises. I liked BVS. Don't come for me. I loved it, especially the extended edition. I loved Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. I love the animated series. I love, oh my gosh, guys. If you're not watching the animated movies that DC Comics puts out every year, you are missing out. Most of them are critically acclaimed. Go watch them. If you liked the Batman or are interested in seeing it, I would recommend you watch The Long Halloween on HBO Max. Just do it. And now, the Batman. I loved the Batman. Literally everything Batman, I will devour it. I love it. So, it's hard to pick favorites. But that's enough rambling about my love for Batman. I totally forgot to mention this when I was talking about how I would rate the movie. My dad, who is infamous for falling asleep during anything and everything, stayed awake the entire 3 hours. Technically it's a little under 3 hours, but still, that's a long movie. He was wide awake and paying attention the entire time. That might be the biggest endorsement I can give this movie from my family. What else can I say? Dad tested, Dad approved. Let me know in the comments if you've seen the Batman. What did you think of it? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let's discuss. If you enjoyed this review video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that red button down below to subscribe and become a member of my YouTube family. Also, click the bell to turn on your notifications. Click the link down below if you would like to become a patron and support my future content. Video suggestions are always welcome. I will see you in my next video. Bye!